Alice Quayle's joining us now from the Isle of Man Climate Change Coalition.
That's it.
I've got it right.
Yeah.
Today's a big day, technically. 1st of November was a big day for handing in this way forward that with the Isle of Man's going to have. But this is what you're here for today, because you've got thoughts on this.
It's the big day. Not only the day after Hop Tunay, but it's the day that Professor Curran hands in his all singing, all dancing climate emergency action plan.
Which, and the point I think here is that we don't know what's going to be in it.
We don't know what's in it. So was it June Tynwald? Tynwald committed to hire an expert and set up a big team of, I think, 20 odd. No, there's about 15 people full time working on a climate action plan, which they've been working furiously hard on. And today's the day it gets handed in. 20
people in government?
I think it was about 15 people full time. Yeah.
Okay. Your views then on this, the timetable, because it's going to go to January Tynwald, isn't it, as such?
Yeah, it's going to January Tynwald. So we'd like it made public immediately. I mean, obviously, Tynwald have to see it themselves, but we would like to see made public so everyone can see it as soon as possible, to see what's, this expert's been hired.
Yeah, I mean, as it stands, it may not get into public domain until the Tynwald is.
I don't know, we've not been told.
No one knows.
We don't know. So it should be, I mean, a lot of the public have fed into it. They had various different public consultations, they had an online forum saying, give us your ideas, what do you think? They also had a big public survey, feed in your ideas, what do you think? And we don't know if any of those ideas have been included. And there's all these 15 people been working very hard. We'd like to know, and we'd like to see what James Curran says himself, because what's going to happen is this report goes to I think Coman, and then Coman are going to write their own version from that, but we don't know. It may have very little relation to the Curran report. They may do a totally different version. So it'd be nice to see what Curran advises.
Well, I mean, you may hold a press conference or something, I suppose. I mean,
we would hope so.
That's what you're here for, really, to say you want this thing to be as transparent as possible.
Yeah, open and transparent and clear as possible. Having all this effort gone into it, it'd be a shame if it just gathers dust on the shelf.
Something tells me people like yourselves will make sure it doesn't.
Well, part of coming here is encouraging open, transparent process.
I mean, I think we already said what your thoughts are on this committee. You got high hopes?
Well, there's a lot of people working very hard on this from across government, and it's been it seems to have been set up well, so it's not just a few people in DEFRA, it's people from all different departments, so it's people with finance experience, and energy experience, people who know how government works, so it's been a really interesting process, cross-departmental, and they've asked the public for their views and fed in loads of ideas, and they've been working really hard, so it should have come up with some good ideas, so it would just be nice to see them.
The fact of the matter is, you don't like the timescale either, do you? I mean, it's still too loose for you, I think, isn't it?
Obviously things take time, but now it's the beginning of November and the Coman plan is going to Tynwald in January, but we're just at the start of winter, for instance. There's 3,500 households on the island are supposed to be in fuel poverty. There's
3,000 households in fuel poverty.
Well, I sent it in the press release.
Yeah, I know you did. I'm just trying to verify where you get the information about that.
If you look in the notes,
it's verified, is it?
Yeah, that's a government report from 2016, and that was the estimate. There's 3,500, but they have an insulation scheme, but there's only 2 people who've taken it up.
Is that the old one? Didn't they bring out a newer version or something?
Well, as of this year, in the last from July 2018 to April 2019, only 2 people are taking it up.
Whose fault is that, though? I mean, is this people not taking it up because they don't know about it?
Well, there must be something wrong in the process. There must be something wrong in the process, so it must need a bit of a tweak.
I was talking about timetables. It's one of the really thinking was that the actual date for getting us carbon neutral is still sort of debatable about when it should be. And
the IPCC's headline thing was net zero 2050, but if you look at the actual details, that's like a political compromise. There's a fellow on the island whose son was actually part of pulling all that together. He's a climate scientist, works for the IPCC, and he's actually from the Isle of Man. Robin Matthews. It's really interesting. It'd be a really interesting fellow to talk to, actually. And he was saying they had to get the Saudis to agree. They had to get the Russians to agree. They had to get all these different people to agree. So it was a compromise. But if you actually look at the data behind it, net zero by 2050 would only give us a 50-50 chance. And that's in their sums. And it's that's not great odds. So, for instance, Sir David King, and also in their calculations, they leave out all of the things that are hard to calculate. So there's lots of things they haven't calculated, so the models aren't perfect. And Sir David King was saying in September, he was saying the date needs to come forward to 2040 because the climate change that we're seeing around the world, you know, glaciers and sea level and all sorts, is and weather events, it's happening faster and more than the models predict because they've left out various things, feedback loops and stuff. So it needs to come back to 2040. So 2050 is sort of wishful thinking, really.
And that will slip. We've had this whole conversation before about things slip, don't they?
Things slip, so it's better to have an ambitious target. I mean, Paul Allen, when he came over, he was saying it's good rather than go, okay, we can only do this, and then sort of, there's no point planning for something that's not going to work anyway. You may as well plan for what is technically necessary and scientifically necessary. And just because it takes like 10, 20 years to change the infrastructure, doesn't it?
Well, finally, do you think people in the Isle of Man are behind you? I mean, do you feel there's a good...
Yeah, we feel
like,
well, I would say that, but you always get a few people who are like, don't like change, or I don't know, go, oh, I saw a thing on YouTube. But people who actually sort of understand the science and they can see the benefits. You know, there's so many potential benefits if you plan this right. And that's the other thing we'd like to see about this report. It's like Curran himself has said, you know, you can get rid of fuel poverty, you can improve the housing stock, you can regenerate towns, you can make people healthier, you know, easier cycling, walking, and better air quality and things like this. There's potential economic benefits, we can harness our own energy resources. There's a lot of potential benefits, but you have to get on it, and you have to have a long-term plan, and you actually have to start. You can't just go, one day we'll do something. You can't do trade alone. You actually have to start. Okay,
well, let's see what happens this next week, because obviously it's over the weekend that we take the state, so maybe hopefully you'd like to see this information.
We'd like to see the information, and Curran has said that he's, in his report, there's a list of things you can do immediately, and it would be nice to see that. You know, it'd be nice to see that identified and go, well, yeah, we could do that, we could start that. And there's already a climate action strategy from a few years ago, which had loads of good ideas in that haven't been done yet. So they could just go, well, actually, we could just press go on that one, you know.